citizens of the free world. I am Hoverman Cop, defender of justice, defender of the people, defender of the earth. Recently in Dallas, Texas. Mhm. We have an innocent man, 26 years old, Botham Sean, was inside of his own residence in the comfort of his own home. Doing no wrong inside of his own home. When he encountered, at the time, a so-called police officer who wears the badge as I do. So this is personal. Came to his apartment, claiming it was her apartment. Sees him inside of his own apartment. Fired her weapon twice, striking him once. It is told. After he was hit, not only, I could imagine he was fighting for his own life. Then, the moments of him fighting for his own life, had to look into the eyes of an invader who wore the uniform that represents one who should be protecting him from home invaders. He died by an invader. Who is this man? You will hear the words of his mother, who gave him birth into this world, describe her son, and after you hear briefly what she says, I will return and I will break down this whole investigation that will leave no one in doubt that the one who wore that badge in disgrace and a dishonor to all of those who do wear the badge with honor. We have before us in Dallas, Texas, not only her, you will discover that more charges should be made with the death of an innocent man who was no longer here, now passed on to the next life. So listen to his mother, and I'll be back. You get ready and listen well.
My son loved everybody. He loved God. He lived a very excitable life in the church. He sang very well. So he went to several congregations to sing. He was a Bible class teacher. Both of them left St. Lucia about 7 years ago. He was the top student at his high school. He received an award called the Spirit of St. Mary's Award. And he went to study at Harding University. That's in Searcy, Arkansas. He studied accounting and management information systems. On his 4th year at Harding, he was invited to do an internship at Price Waterhouse in Dallas, Texas. And after the 6-week internship, they immediately offered him a position there. So he went back to Harding to complete his studies, and then he moved immediately over to Dallas to work with Price Waterhouse. He was a risk assurance associate, and he took his job very seriously. Both of them called me last week, and he said he was crying because he said he was so stressed at work. He had some deadlines to meet. Both of them didn't like failure. He always wanted to succeed, and I told him he used to put too much pressure on himself because he would leave work late and he would come home and he would continue working. He was very active. He had friends. He had a balanced life, but I keep telling him that he still needed to shed a little more work so that he shouldn't be so stressed.
As you just heard from the mother, that he was indeed an outstanding individual who lived life not as a criminal, not one who disrespected his mother, his elders, or any individual in life. But now, before I even continue on with him, let's get down to the one who took his life. This individual, I will not say she is a police officer. She is not a police officer. She is a suspect and a criminal who wore the uniform of a police officer. Did you hear me? I hope you heard me well. Because when you discover, when it's all said and done, you will believe it yourself. Amber Geiger was on the force for 4 years. On that night, it is stated in her affidavit that she parked her car on the 4th floor. Whenever you park your car on any floor where you live, you know the difference between the first to the second, from the second to the third, where she lived on the 3rd floor in apartment 1378. She went another floor above her. Not by mistake. There is no mistakes in that. She went to the 4th floor, to the apartment above her where he lived in 1478. She had in her mind to know how to get home. to her apartment complex. And she had in her mind to know that she was indeed on the 4th floor, not the 3rd floor. She had in her mind and knew without a doubt where she was going. And as you continue to listen further on, you will discover it too. That this officer who wore the badge at that time came to the front door of apartment 1478. And she claimed and stated in the affidavit that she inserted her key into the door that has an electronic chip. But the door was already opened. What I'm going to show you are 2 different doors. Look at the 2 doors as you see it before you. To the left, you see that it is different from the door to the right. The door to the left is specifically for police officers who live at the complex. A big difference from the one to the right. Those who live at the complex have doors that indicate they are not officers and have doors just like the one to the right. So she knew that door, that apartment was not her apartment. Not only that, the red mat on the floor is a giveaway, because that's not her floor mat. You would have to be blind. Even Stevie Wonder would recognize that would not be his apartment. You mean to tell me she didn't realize it, couldn't comprehend? I don't think so. Then she stated that she realized the door was already opened. That's another lie. And if the investigators, and certainly those who claim to be Texas Rangers who investigated this incident, and I'll get more into that in just a moment with the Texas Rangers. But if anyone on that scene who were law enforcement, and I'm sure with their policies, homicide had to show up, and other investigators had to show up, the brass, higher superiors. Someone had to be present at that location. And you mean to tell me that they could not come up with these few basic indicators that will determine that something is indeed criminal with this whole ordeal with Amber Garga? So, because the doors, you are not able to open and keep the doors open. They automatically shut once you open. The only way that those doors can remain open, or what she claimed to be ajar, is if either someone's holding it or blocking it from closing. That is a lie. So after she says she opens the door. She states this: silhouette is what I want you to pay attention to. What she stated. Once she opened the door, she saw a large silhouette across the room in what she says is her apartment, drew her weapon, gave verbal commands that were ignored. And after her verbal commands that she stated was ignored, she began shooting. Since you saw a silhouette across from the room, that means you were able to see clearly where the room was located and where the individual who was located, who was called the complainant, Botham Jean. But you mean to tell me you couldn't see the difference between your door and a regular citizen's door that lives at that complex, at Southside Flats complex? I don't think so. And you say you use the term silhouette is a stretch, and it's what you call police cover-up jargon. It's far-fetched to even use the word silhouette. No such word to call this as a silhouette. You had no other options but to use silhouette because your options are limited and non-existent. So silhouette you use. And I don't think you came up with that word on your own. I don't think you have the mental capacity to come up with that. You had help working out the structure, what you was going to say, what you should say, and how it should be said. That's what I think, because there is no other way. Let's stick to the truth. And it seems like there is no truth being done within that agency, handling the death of an innocent man. Silhouette, huh? Now the so-called commands that you claim to have given, were those commands whispered? Or were those commands given out loud? And if you say that your commands were given out loud, then you are lying again on top of all the other lies, because based on the witnesses who were present at the scene heard you say something different. And before I even discuss that, I can tell you right now that in the process of this investigation of the Texas Rangers and all of the investigators of Dallas Police Department present at that scene, you mean to tell me, and if this answer is a no to what I'm about to ask, the most critical part of this whole investigation lies within the threshold of my question. And if it is not a yes, this whole investigation is corrupt. Did the so-called Texas Rangers who came to investigate, did you, Texas Rangers, Did anyone at the Dallas Police Department present at that scene, any officer, anyone, did you all find the witnesses knock on the doors of every apartment complex on that 4th floor? And did you question every witness, what they heard, what they did not hear? And if your answer is no, and something tells me you didn't because it is said that it wasn't done, then you have done no good and shamed your badge as a Texas Ranger. And everyone on that scene has degraded and shamed the very badge that they wear. I don't even think no witnesses were interviewed on that same night. And I do not even know if they have been even interviewed now, let alone that same night. Two other witnesses present on that night stated that they heard knocking on the door and heard a woman's voice saying, "Let me in, let me in." Then they heard gunshots, according to the two witnesses, in a man's voice saying, "Oh my God, why did you do that?" Is what these two witnesses said, key to this whole investigation of the innocence of a man whose last words in this earth at the hands of a killer who dressed up in a uniform, a criminal, a suspect, and I'll tell you more what I think and what I discovered, what kind of criminal she is. His last words is, "Oh my God, why did you do that?" And if these who witnessed this was not even a part of the Texas Rangers investigation, shameful, disgraceful, and a dishonor. Why did not the Texas Rangers interview these witnesses? Did they have the tired disease also? For what this so-called officer Geiger stated? Were the Texas Rangers tired from a long drive down the road to this scene that they couldn't remember to do a basic fundamental investigation at a crime scene is to interview witnesses? Or were they unskilled, not capable of handling this situation, this investigation, because they did not interview witnesses? Incompetent. And if that's not the case, which all of it indicates it is, they just didn't do it because they are what you call the Texas Rangers. Well, shame on you, because you just brought embarrassment on the Texas Rangers' so-called legacy. And If you don't like it and you're mad, you ought to be, because you have an innocent man who is dead, who is no longer here. And you handled this situation and investigation as not only a E, not only a F, there is no letter for this failure on your parts, Texas Rangers. Now I wonder, when Amber Geiger, the criminal, she stated after seeing the silhouette of the individual, she shot him across from the room. My question is, where was that body laying when the EMS and the investigators of Dallas and the Texas Rangers came to the scene? Where was that body laid? And if that body did not lay across from that room, near that room, where she stated she saw that man across from that room, then that's another lie upon all the other lies. And so I wonder, in their investigation, in their reports given, made, documented, government documented, is it stated in their reports, in anyone's report, that were at the scene where the body was laid when EMS and they arrived at the scene? That's another part of the investigator that is very key to what she says and claims. Where did the body lay? Then she stated and claimed she immediately called 911, requesting the police and EMS at the scene. And she stated that she herself provided first aid to the complainant, both of them. If she provided first aid, that then means that she would have had blood on her hands and blood on her uniform at the scene. Now, since that is the case, did the Texas Rangers, did the investigators of the Dallas Police Department at the scene, did anyone tell her to take off her clothes at the appropriate time? And did they tag her clothes that should have blood on it and should have had blood on her? Did they tag those clothes as evidence? That's another key factor. And I really think you know the answer as well as I do. No evidence was tagged from the criminal Geiger. Why was it not? And if there was no blood on her or on her uniform, is it shown in the reports? And if it is not, then that's another upon all the other failures upon failures and complete lies and a disaster. And a complete investigation should be done on every individual, even the Texas Rangers at that scene who handled this investigation that I think was poorly, despicably conducted. and in and of itself criminal. Did you hear what I just told you? Criminal. After applying first aid that she claimed she provided to this innocent man who was lying helplessly, bleeding on the gunshot wound given by her, she states she walked to the front door to observe the address. Listen to what I just told you. In her statement, she said that she walked to the front door to observe the address and discovered she then was at the wrong apartment, according to what she said. Did you just hear what I just told you? Do you not know what this says? That means not only did she lie about going to the wrong apartment, seeing the red floor mats on the floor to indicate that was not her apartment, putting her key in the door that indicated that was not her apartment because her key lock mechanism is different from any other apartment door. Her apartment door is different from any other apartment doors who lives at that complex who are not police officers. So when she came to that door, she knew that it was not her apartment door based on the mechanisms in the front of the door. Even with that, you mean to tell me that she even ignored the address indicating what number that was to her apartment and only realized it after she shot and killed this innocent man, to only discover by looking in front of her address that it was not her address, when if you walked and knew that it was your place, there would be no need for you to walk out to look for the address of your own place if you have claimed to be that it is your address. And after all of that, the Texas Rangers, the Dallas Police Department's leaders, allowed clearly a murderer, a violent, vicious murderer, to go freely amongst the citizens of Dallas. Think about that. She could have killed someone else. They let her go freely. But not just that night, but to the third day. And what I'm going to tell you next will automatically, I don't even know how to put this in words, but it is beyond the demise and the planning of a crime to cover up and to shield a murderer. What I'm going to tell you what they did, how they planned this out, whoever it was, I don't know, but you know that there are powers that be who corrupts the very presence in the organization of what we as police officers stand for. let me remind you the mission of the Dallas Police Department before I continue. Do you know what their mission states? That lays the foundation of the entire organization. This is what the mission of Dallas Police Department states. This is their mission statement. It reads, "The police department, in serving the people of Dallas, strives to reduce crime and provide a safe city by recognizing that its goals is to help people and provide assistance at every opportunity, providing preventative, investigative, and enforcement services, increasing citizen satisfaction with public safety, and obtaining community cooperation through the department's training skills and efforts, and realizing that the police department alone cannot control crime, but must act in concert with the community and the rest of the criminal justice system. In achieving this mission, the men and women of the Dallas Police Department will conduct themselves in an ethical manner. They will respect and protect the rights of citizens as determined by the law, treat citizens and their fellow employees courteously and with the same amount of dignity with which they expect to be treated themselves. Be examples of honesty and integrity in their professional and personal lives, thereby earning the public trust. Perform their duties with the knowledge that protection of the lives and property of all citizens is their primary duty, and comply with the spirit and letter of the Code of Conduct. That is the Dallas Police Department mission statement. What you just did, you leaders, the Dallas Police Department, you have violated the very trust with the citizens of Dallas, and you laid it all in the hands of a murderer who disguised herself in the uniform and killed an innocent man. You have protected and shielded this criminal from murdering this man. To add insult, charged the suspect Geiger with manslaughter and not murder. Upon everything else. And now you have an environment where there's no trust at all in that department. No trust. Now in the Texas Rangers over one individual who has 4 years on a department. You throw away all of it for one who does this. I'm going to show you what you will see now. There's something deeper involved with this guy. Not only it has been said that there was complaints being made on the floor where Geiger lives against the complainant. And it seems as though this suspect, the criminal, took matters in her own hands and devised a well-thought-out plan to go on the 4th floor based on some incidents that occurred before, and decided to do that which was in her heart from the beginning, based on more evidence from pictures that were discovered that indicates bloodline and connections with her own family involved with a terrorist organization, white supremacy. Did you hear what I just told you? She is seen in one particular picture, as you see now, smiling, joyous with her brother-in-law. If you know anything about terrorists or gang members, that what you see is a terrorist sign that represents a W and a P. Do you hear me? You listen well. And that W and that P represents states white power. And do you not know the one who is holding up that terroristic sign? His name is No Gaza. N-O-E Gaza. While people were trying to discover who she was, her name, giving 3 days of going through the internet, scraping off all evidence of her appearances and her family members connected to terrorist organizations. I said it. Do you hear me? And you know, if I know it, and citizens of the free world here in America knows it, you know that the Texas Rangers and the Dallas Police Department knows it as well. She is connected in her family with terrorist organizations. And I know the saying goes, what falls from a tree, I state, doesn't fall that far from the tree that has other apples in the tree. And her residue, her mindset, her thoughts and her plan indicates that this is deeper than what you think. Criminal mindset, terroristic attitude, terroristic attack against an innocent man who just so happens to be a dark-skinned man below her apartment. she had, or that floor had complaints against, some loud noise complaints. She planned it out, I think, had it in her heart to bring harm and danger, to terrorize that innocent man. And the very fact that all efforts were made in the attempt to scrape social media platforms of her and her family members associated with terrorist organizations further gives reason to believe the evidence at hand that this was murder. It appears to be a cover-up for murder. Noor Garza did an interview stating he is not a part of a white supremacist organization, and he stated he did not give a white supremacist hand signal. He was just indicating those two hand signals represented 69 for the age of his father in a picture with all of those who you see, including Geiger. Well, I don't think so. Lies after lies upon lies, and disgrace after the disgrace, and a shame after the shame of what is going on in Dallas. But I, of a man cop, am for justice. Anyone who violates justice and the rights, protection, and liberty of the people, I am against. And I come against you, Noor Garza. And an investigation should be made against him and everyone connected to white supremacist organizations and that family as well. In a deeper investigation to everyone involved in this investigation. Certainly even who claims to be the untouchable, the Texas Rangers. That even deciding, after 3 days, decided now to arrest this criminal Geiger, not in Dallas County. Do you know what they did? They arrested Geiger in a whole nother county and put her in jail in another county. Why did they not put her in the county where the shooting death of an innocent man came from? Listen to me well. So they finally decided to arrest her. The county where they arrested her, put her in jail at, is Kaufman County. In Kaufman County, the jury there will be over 80% non-Hispanic white. In Dallas, where the killing was done, is 23% non-Hispanic whites. So they decided, Texas Rangers, through their planning and covering and protecting this criminal, made it possible for her to be in another county where her chances will be that much more greater of being released and not charged for murder, killing an innocent man. I hope you heard me well. I want you to listen to some thoughtful words from the attorneys of the complainant. Lee Merritt, Ben Crump, and Darrell Washington. Lee Merritt is the leading attorney in this case. Listen to some of the things he says, what I think is important from each and every one of them, and I'll be back.
We want to maintain our focus on the long haul. It is very difficult anywhere in the United States to see an officer convicted. And we believe that a conviction is proper here. We just don't know enough about the facts. And the DA mentioned that we left her office not satisfied yesterday. She said she wasn't sure why. We weren't satisfied for a number of reasons. Number one, when we left the office, it was 3 days after both of them had been killed, and his killer, who was known to the DA at the time, was not in handcuffs. Whether that was the responsibility of the DA's office or the Rangers or the Dallas Police Department, it mattered not to this family. What mattered was that person was able to leave Botham's home, return to her home, and not face any consequence for 3 days after he was killed. And that is extremely problematic for this family. That shows an extreme deference. We were encouraged to see the mayor here and other representatives from the city, but we are of the position that the city has to share not only in our cries for justice, but they have to take responsibility for their share and accountability as well.
Well, you just heard from the lead attorney, Lee Merritt, and they are left so far with many questions not being answered. And if they are confused about the entire investigation, can you imagine how the mother is feeling about the death of her son and all that went on during the investigation? So far indicates that they have no concern. The attorney's office, the department, and what has been done so far to bring justice is in dismal land. And the people of Dallas, the citizens of America and the world, sees what's going on in Dallas. Now, I want you to listen to some things that Ben Crump has said. Now, with all due respect, we're dealing with a serious crime here, to a whole nother level of evil upon evil, of the deaths of so many who have died at the hands of corrupt individuals who clothe themselves in the uniforms of police officers. Have taken so many lives. And with all due respect, I hope that this will not be another showcase. Ben Crump, I wonder, are you capable of handling this situation? I wonder, all due respect, what is your case of winning such major cases? Because this is major. There are no rooms for failure, Mr. Crump. And I hope you put on your A game, because you're going to need every bit of it for this situation. This must not be a failure. I hope you hear me, Sir Mr. Crump. This cannot be a failure. Justice must be given. Justice must be done in this case, and I hope the Almighty God helps you help Mr. Lee Merritt, and you do your part. Sir, listen to what Mr. Crump has to say, and I'll be back.
It's very clear to us that the very foundation of the justice system in America required for the killer of Botham Jones to be arrested. Think about it. What terrible precedents would this have set had she not been arrested? People could just say, I went to the wrong apartment, I thought it was my apartment, and I killed the innocent person. Because that would be the precedence had an arrest not been made in this case. And this is a shocking scenario to everybody. The way Botham was killed was not just a shock to the family, but it was astonishing to most sensible people, not just in America, but around the world, because he was from the island nation of St. Lucia. So this is an international incident, not just a local incident. When people put it in context and they are watching, is the American justice system going to treat Botham John and his family like they would treat the officer's family had this situation been reversed?
Mr. Crump speaks of precedents of the Dallas Police Department and the legal matters thus far that has been made regarding this investigation. Well, precedents has already been made from observation. Without anything being said, actions speak louder than words. The Dallas Police Department, Texas Rangers, and the DA office has spoken loudly without saying any words that a person, a criminal, can obviously walk up to a person's home, place of residence, shoot and kill, and just say, oops, I'm sorry, wrong house, wrong apartment, and walk off free without no arrest. Actions speak louder than words. What have we seen so far? 3 days, a killer roams the streets of Dallas, and no arrest was made. She kills an innocent man, lies, changes her statements, that is documented, changes her story, and even in the changing of her story, none of it makes no logical human sense. But it is so. And in all that I've talked about so far of this investigation serves an injustice for this family. But the end is not near. This is just the beginning, and it is going to take all of you citizens in Dallas, leaders across this country, and all of you who claim that your God is your God, as I know the Almighty God is my God. All of you who believe as that man who died and does believe in the Almighty, whose life was taken, you lead us in the churches, dark, white, whatever, of all ethnic backgrounds. You must now speak for this believer of the faith and ensure that his life will not be spent in the remaining of life without justice. I hope you heard every bit of what I just told you. Lead us there. I won't say any names, but for everyone of the faith, of no faith, all of you who believe in justice, to ensure that justice will come for Mr. Botham, who is not here. Listen now to the next attorney and get a little idea of what he thinks. Listen well.
Before him, but we have one issue, and the city of Dallas needs to realize this, is that we have a training issue when it comes for officers dealing with unarmed African Americans. For some reason, there is a tendency to pull that trigger very fast and to answer questions later. There is no doubt in our minds that this officer should have been arrested immediately. What was the transparency that they talked about? The chief of police said, well, we want to bring the Texas Rangers in here to have transparency. Transparency to who?
As you just heard, he states of the Dallas Police Department having a training issue. I respectfully disagree. There is no training issue. If officers have to be trained not to discriminate and be biased in whether or not what kind of force that they would use based on the color of their skin, then that means they should not be police officers. You cannot train somebody otherwise. If they have that in them, then that means it will show out of them. That has been shown in this criminal guy. And if there is any issues regarding that with officers, such as it is, with the use of force given to people who have no weapons, who are bringing no threats to officers, and these citizens are ending up dead, means that there's an underlying issue in a hiring issue across this country. You're listening to Other Man Cop. You're listening to one who has been through every situation that you can think of with criminals, dangerous, non-dangerous, of all manners, of all walks of life. I handled every possible situations that you can think of, and I know the difference. I know how to control myself, even in the midst of attacks, but never did I use my authority and my powers, my abilities, to willingly kill and take a person's life. Did you just hear what I told you? Never did I. And it is all documented. That is why I believe I am in the position that I am now. You are listening to a police officer who has arrested and charged some of the most dangerous criminals, more than any officer in the history of the world. And the Almighty God has given me this position to bring justice and to decimate injustice and crime wherever it may be. And with you, I stand for justice. I stand for the citizens of the free world. And it is up to us that we who believe in justice, we who believe in decimating and removing crime from our communities, you must unite with me, and I will unite with you. We together can rid the globe of crime and injustice. And I pray for the family, the mother, the sister, the father, the brother of Botham Job, that the Almighty One, who knows and sees all things, will give them the immediate strength that they need to carry on through this horrible, painful ordeal of not hearing his voice again, not seeing his smile again, not hearing the melodies of his voice in church, not him being productive and loving, not calling, not hearing the words coming through the phone in the ears of his mother and fathers and family. Never again. The Holy Text says, God is our refuge and strength, and never-present help in trouble. Psalm 46, verse 1. Your God, our God, is our strength, no matter what we face in this life. And may you face your tomorrows and your journeys in this investigation. May you be strengthened, have the peace, and have comfort, faith with your works. And may the prayers and the actions of the citizens of Dallas and the world go not silent, but stand strong together, that justice will be made, that it will be indeed murder charges in a conviction, not just the words of charge, but there will be an actual conviction set in stone that she will never again walk the streets free, will be behind bars for the charge of murder. Let us now, will you join me? Words of silence, the absence, the prayers, the transition of Botham John, who is now gone to the next life. You may bow and be silent in prayer with me now. Amen.